वहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते। सम्प्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति दुःकृन्करणे। मूढजहि धनागमतृष्णां गुरु सद्बुद्धिं मनसि वितृष्णा। यल्लभसे निजकर्मोपातं वित्तं तेन विनोदय चित्तम्। नारीस्तनभरनाभिदेशं दृष्ट्वा मागामोहावेशम्। एतन्मांसवसादिविकारं मनसि विचिन्तय वारं वारम्। नलिनीदलगतजलमतितरलं तद्वज्जीवितमतिशयचपलम्। विद्धि व्याध्यभिमानग्रस्तं लोकं शोकहतं च समस्तम्। यावद्वित्तोपार्जनसक्तः तावन्निज परिवारो रक्तः। पश्चाज्जीवति जर्जरदेहे वार्तां कोऽपि न पृच्छति गेहे। यावत् पवनो निवसति देहे तावत् पृच्छति कुशलं गेहे। गतवति वायौ देहापाये भार्या बिभ्यति तस्मिन् काये। बालस्तावत् क्रीडासक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणीसक्तः। वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तासक्तः परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्तः। काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारोऽयमतीव विचित्रः। कस्य त्वं कः कुतायातः तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रातः। सत्सङ्गत्वे निस्सङ्गत्वं निस्सङ्गत्वे निर्मोहत्वम्। निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वं निश्चलतत्वे जीवन्मुक्तिः। वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः। क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्रे कः संसारः।
Today, the Poornam day of this month is a very auspicious day. In India, it is celebrated as Raksha Bandhan today, majorly in North India. Today is also the day for the changing of the sacred thread, those who are following the Yajurveda. For Rigvedis it was yesterday, and for Samavedis a few days later. I don't know which calculation they make, but it is according to that today the sacred thread ceremony is there. But the main significance of that is that the Gurukula Vasa, that is the system of education, the opening day is actually today. In the good old days of 16 years of study of the Vedas and other texts under a guru in Gurukula, they seem to follow 2 semesters in a year, that sort of a system. One starts in the Uttarayana and one in Dakshinayana, which is today. In one half of the year, they teach the Vedas and the direct rituals and other things connected with it. And in the second half, they teach all other aspects, Vedangas and other things which are associated with Vedas. So it is a very brilliant system of education, and by 16 years after the education, he is prepared to face the world. That is what the significance of this Gurukula system of education is. The Hindu way of life is divided into 4 stages. It is called as ashrama. So first stage is called as brahmacharya ashrama. The second stage is called as grihastha ashrama. The third stage is called as the vanaprastha ashrama. And the fourth stage is the sannyasa ashrama. 4 stages of life. Generally it is divided into. Each stage has its own beauty and its own significance. The brahmacharya stage is when it is a boy is in the stage of being a celibate and he is getting the basic knowledge of life. This forms the basis for the entire life. So a strong foundation is laid down in this stage of life. That way it is very, very important. The term brahmachari is a very interesting term, though it is just translated as a celibate or who abstains from sex. In that meaning only it is understood now. But the deep meaning of the word brahmachari is one who is walking on the path towards Brahman. He is a brahmachari. A brahmachari is one who is on the walk towards the path towards the Brahman. So therefore the initiation starts in the very early stage of a human life itself. No doubt, it is at a later stage where you can really get into the import of Vedantic text and directly you can contemplate on what Brahman is and dedicate your life for self-realization. But the seeds of that is sown in the very early stages also. Because in the first stage of life, we are taught what dharma is. What is dharma? What is the proper way of life? What is righteousness? How we must conduct ourselves? Based on which he is ready to face the world, and in the grihastha stage, which is the householder stage, whatever he has learned so far, he puts it into practice. It is a experimental laboratory where everything is tested out. And that really matures a person. Then he gets into a stage of a recluse and then a mendicant, which is sannyasa ashrama. So therefore the teaching of dharma is the first stage. When a person is matured enough and the mind is in a stage of moving towards renunciation, then he is taught about what is Brahman. So he is first introduced into the world and how to conduct himself properly in the world, and then he is taught what is beyond the world. Now they are not mutually exclusive. Even at the younger stage also he is introduced the higher concepts. Even at a later stage, a little bit of subjective worships and other things he will do. But majorly we can bifurcate the system into these two, that a person is taught how to enter the world and how to do actions in the world. And then when he becomes matured enough, where he is ready for higher stages of renunciation, he is taught as to how to get out of the world also. In the true sense of the term I am saying. So, therefore, the Guru enters a person's life in 2 phases. In the first phase, where a person, when he attains the age of, let's say 6, 7, average, that age, where his intellect is said to be born. This stage of life is called as the second birth in a person's life. Therefore, he is called as Dvija. Dvija means one who is twice born. Twice born means when a person is born out of mother's womb, that is the first birth, where the physical body is born. Then slowly when his thoughts develop, when he is prepared to get educated, when his intellect develops, when he probably has the grasping ability, so he is fully born now. His inner personality is also born. So he is called as twice born. It is at that stage that the father should lead the child to the Guru. The Guru then takes over and he is going to instruct him for about, as I said, whatever year, I do not know, 13, 16 years, it is the education, or 10, 12 years, maybe 12 years by the age that he is 16, 18, he must be replete with the knowledge to face the world. Now, this is a ceremony which is not just meant for Brahmins. Though now it has become a category of Brahmins versus non-Brahmins, it is not so. In the earlier days, and even now, if you will find various people who have the jati and other thing following as per as their tradition, they do wear this sacred thread. Apart from the fourth varna, all others are eligible and must do it. Whether he is a Vaishya, whether he is a king. This is seen in the life of Lord Rama, Lord Krishna also, and various other people also. It is done. Everybody is initiated in the Vedic study, and everybody must do the basic rituals, everything that is associated with it. But a Brahmin is one who is sort of dedicated his life entirely for this cause. And let us say it also openly, only a person who is able to do like that can be called as a real Brahmin in the true sense of the term. Otherwise, for namesake, we may be called Brahmins, but it is like a paper rose, which may not give that fragrance. It is still may appear like a rose. So, the question arises as to why is it that is required? Paramacharya gives a very scientific explanation for that. As in everybody's case, everybody must do little bit of study ritual, but a king has his duty, and that is being performed in some form or the other. Governance, political leadership, warfare, administration. This is also being done in the modern days in some form or the other. A Vaishya also does this, but his major thing is wealth creation, industries, farming, agriculture, all these economic activities which sustain the society, that he must do. And the others who are supposed to do the jobs of skilled and semi-skilled and other type of labours, they are also doing their job. But then, what is it that the Brahmin is supposed to do if he is a real Brahmin? In Vedic parlance, he is called as Shat Karma Vit. Shat Karma Vit means, in Tamil also beautiful equal term is there used by Thiruvalluvar in Thirukural, Arutholilor. Arutholilor means 6 jobs that they have. One is to learn and practice Vedas. Second is to teach Vedas and make other practice. Second. Third is to perform yajna by oneself, to perform yajna, to make others perform and perform it for others. 4. 5 is to receive dana. 6 is to give dana. These are the traditionally 6 jobs that are there allotted for a real Brahmin. He may be well versed with other areas of knowledge also, but he is not supposed to use it for his wage earning purposes. Like that, they have kept that restriction so that he is focused in and around this only. That is why getting a dana is like a right for him. And when excess is there, he is supposed to give dana also. So, now the question may arise, we see a very specific purpose or a cause that is visible and tangible when a Kshatriya does his duty. He is protecting the country, he is ruling, he is governing, he is giving laws, maintaining the laws, everything he is doing. When a person is into wealth creation, that is very clearly what his contribution to the society is visible. And when other persons who are doing all the jobs that are hands-on labor. It's very clear. Without that, anything will not move. Their contribution is also very clear in all stages. Now the question arises, what does this person do, Brahmin? That you said all the 6 things that he has to do. On what basis is it anyway contributing to the society? You keep on doing something into fire worship like this. You keep on adding some ghee into it. Or you do your own rituals, or you do your own study. Of what consequence or what contribution it is for the society. And yet, by their virtue of performing this only, they commanded respect. That's very, very interesting. When actually the Brahmins lost respect is when they left their original Swadharma and ventured into the area of activities which are supposed to be meant for others. For various reasons. We are not going into it. That's a separate subject by itself. Why it is to be taken up as a full-time occupation. Now, this Vedic mantras and the Vedic chanting and the adhyayana of this, why it should be a lifetime occupation is that in terms of first the learning the Vedas, what is emphasized is not the meaning of the Vedic mantras. Even the class that we take, we call it as a Vedanta class. Vedic mantras are not generally taken up, explained, and a class is taken on that. Vedanta, which is Upanishads, which is talking about the philosophy of life, that has a great Guru Shishya Parampara by which the knowledge is imparted and which is talking about the purpose of life, end of life, what is beyond life, and that is a philosophy that everybody must learn. See, that stage of Sannyasa Ashrama, that is applicable for all, each and every person, irrespective of whichever stage you belong to, whichever jati or varna you belong to. When a renunciation happens, they get into that inquiry automatically. Okay, that is common for all. Everybody can go into that stage. But as far as the chanting of Vedas is concerned, the main emphasis is given on the sound and the vibration and the way in which it is chanted, and the chanting said along with which the rituals and other things are performed. There are a lot of emphasis and a great importance is given to that. Now, what is the reason? The reason is, we find that each and everything in this universe is functioning according to a certain vibration, a certain thought pattern, and a certain vibration is there. When your thought pattern, you see that, when some person with extreme negative thought pattern, or suppose you go to a club where there is constantly gambling happening, alcohol, and along with the alcohol, whatever type of language that they use and they speak. So the moment you go there, you find a certain sense of vibration that's there, and that very clearly you can have that impact upon you. Even if all have gone home also, that atmosphere carries that for some time. Like that, even if you enter a temple where daily chanting and other things are happening, plus when people come there, however selfish they are, when they come to temple, they are relatively oriented towards bhakti. When all those thoughts are getting deposited, that vibration is there. Even when you go, when nobody is there in the temple, that vibration you do find, you do feel. There are certain places where people say worship and meditation becomes conducive and easy. In some places, there seems to be some disturbances from the elements of nature. It is there. So we understand that there is some sort of a aura that is built around, and all this is maintained by a certain thought force, a certain vibrations. Okay. Now these vibrations have connection at the thought, speech and the action level. Always this mano, vak, kayam. This thought, speech and mind, at all the levels the actions are being performed. That's why tapas is also at all the 3 levels. Now, there is a way by which all these 3 are interconnected. What you think, you must speak. What you speak, you must act. And similarly, vice versa. Whatever action you do, that impacts on whatever you speak. And whatever you speak impacts on what you think. The cause is from the subtle to the gross only. Now, the Maharishis in their height of absorption in the self and meditative stage, what was revealed through them is the Vedic mantras. They are not somebody who thought and wrote those things. Therefore, it is called as Shruti. Shruti means that which they heard. Which they heard means They are also not called as mantra karta. They are called as mantra drashta. They saw the mantra as it were. Okay. Gayatri mantra is there. It is attributed to Vishwamitra, Rishi Vishwamitra, but it's not that he is the author of the mantra. The Gayatri mantra got revealed through Vishwamitra. Like that it is. It's a Rigvedic mantra. So like that, we find that each of this is, and then it is passed on to others through oral this thing. They also hear and then they continue this tradition. So it is called as Shruti. These Vedic mantras have a certain way of pronunciation. They have a certain way of chanting. That is why Adhikaris are supposed to chant the Vedic mantras. It is not to be taken as open for all. I mean, nowadays we see Gayatri mantra and others being chanted by everybody. We really do not know entirely about it, but it is better to be cautious only because, as I said, it is just not a shloka type of. Bhagavad Gita anybody can chant. Bhagavad Gita you can even sing. You can have a raga for Bhagavad Gita and sing also. It is nothing wrong about it. But we do chant in a particular meter. There is nothing wrong about it. You can have Vishnu Sahasranama. You can have various other shlokas. And we find that, M.S. Subbulakshmi's version is the most popular version. There is no dearth of thousands and thousands of various shlokas and various hymns and verses that one can get associated with and happily chant about, teach others, children also. But when it comes to Vedic chanting, be very cautious because it is just not Sanskrit lines there. The way in which it has to be pronounced little high, little low, little elongated and in an even state, there are various things that are thing to it. And the way in which it has to be chanted has to be maintained that way only, otherwise the effect also will be different. See, when you go to a hill and shout, you find an echo there. Similarly, you go to a place where there is a lake and you make certain noise, you find certain ripples that are created there. It is a scientific experiment you can do in a laboratory and see. So we see that each and every sound that we produce creates a ripple. Certain ripples, as I said, in the waves like thing is visible, but whatever you do creates a ripple. Now these Vedic mantras are to be maintained in such pristine form because the ripple, positive ripple that it creates is supposed to maintain the universal peace. Therefore, it is meant for everybody. If only that you must do Vedic chanting which gives you some personal benefit, it is as good as any other activity which you do for yourself. That is why probably they maintain that one set of people must be dedicated for the welfare of the humanity and that is their lifetime duty. If you are doing like that, then automatically you deserve respect. Automatically it will come. You command respect. But when you come from your level and start demanding respect without doing what you are supposed to do, sooner or later you are going to lose it. So therefore, it is very important that our way of life, which is Sanatana Dharma, which is called as Vaidika Dharma, which is a Vedantic religion, the source of all knowledge, it is there in the Vedas. And in the 18th chapter, when Krishna talks about 4 Varnas, in the 4 Varnas, he talks about the qualities of Brahmin, Kshatriya, etc. And there in the verse allotted to Brahmin, he says, he gives a quality called Astikyam. Astikyam means one who believes. Astika. Astika is a believer. Normally, what do we understand in this belief and non-belief? Atheist and theist.
Belief in God.
Belief in God and one who doesn't believe in God. This is how it is classified. But this term Astika and Nastika have been used in our tradition in various times, at various points of time, at various by various meanings. The meaning that is there for the commentaries of Gita is that, see, Astika, who is a believer in God, that probably 99% of the world falls into that category. In some form or the other, they believe in God. So why it is called as a special quality of a Brahmin? So here, Astika means one who believes in the authority of Vedas. Nastika is one who does not believe in the authority of Vedas. As I said, it has various. Even Jaina philosophy has a different meaning. Paninian grammar has a different meaning. Various meanings are there. One who believes in a world beyond this world, that is Astika. One who doesn't believe in that is an Astika. Like that, various meanings are there. But in all ways, One who believes in morals is Astika. One who doesn't believe in morals or ethics. Nothing to do with Vedas or anything. You believe in good, righteous living, moral and ethical living, you are Astika. You don't believe in morals, you are an Astika. So like that, various meanings are given. Medhatiti gave, various other people gave. At every stage, they wanted to be called only Astika. So there was a weightage given to that term. Now here, in this Gita verse, Astika refers to one who believes in the authority of Vedas. Therefore, he is a real Brahmin who is at least associated and who at least doesn't do anything against the Vedas. That is the power that is given there. So therefore, in the Brahmacharya stage, when he is taken to the Gurukula, his Vedarambha happens. That means he is initiated into the studies by starting with the very first verse of Vedas. That is what is supposed to be today. The Gurukula Vasa starts today. Now, a boy is shaven off his head and left with only a small tuft, with which he is introduced to the Guru, to whom he prostrates, and then his Gurukula Vasa begins. What is the significance? And then he is given this 3 sacred thread. Swamiji has given the explanation in the book of God Symbolism also, that the hair represents our desires, right? It is one way of symbolically looking at it. Why does the hair represent desire? Countless. One is, it is countless. You can't count the hair, you can't count your desires. Second is,
it grows continuously.
It grows in a way by which it cannot be in proper shape or control by itself. You have to discipline it. That's how the hair grows. Like that is the desire, that it is multifaceted. It grows by itself. It cannot be brought under control by itself. You have to develop a strong intellect to do it. Third is, hair is that part of the body which remains of our individuality much more than others. You spend a lot of time in the mirror just to decorate our hair, which is sort of a, I wouldn't say non-essential, but least essential part of our body. It is not, you cut it, you don't even feel the pain, that sort of a thing. So that which reminds you of your beauty and individuality and sense of ego is the hair. So it is related there. So this we shave off. That means temporarily also you are devoid of all other desires, but a small tuft is kept because you do carry some spiritual desires, some desires to serve the Guru, to learn the knowledge and all those things. So therefore, it is there kept as a tuft is kept as a a mark of a student. And then he is learning. The 3 threads that is put around his neck and the waist makes him bound to do the Vedic karma in the world. That's why I said the Guru comes at 2 stages in life. First is this stage, in the Brahmacharya stage, where he is also called as Acharya. The difference between a Guru and Acharya is, they can be interchangeably used, but Guru is one who is removing the darkness. He is the provider of knowledge. So anybody can be a Guru. But Acharya is a person who also walks the path and shows how life has to be led. He is Acharya. When we say about Shankaracharya, he is Jagat Guru also, he is a Shankara Acharya also. A Guru and Acharya can be one and the same, but need not be. Ramana Maharishi, we don't call him as an Acharya, but he is an enlightened Guru. I mean, in his presence, he was able to dispel the doubts of others. He was like a Guru. But Acharya is one who walks the path and shows. Therefore, the child has to be led in the path of the dharmic duties of the world, and therefore he is called as an Acharya. And all the rituals, everything he has to do. That is why the sacred thread is binding him to Shastra Karma, and as long as he is there, he must do it. At least a minimum thing of daily rituals of offering oblation to sun and Gayatri Mantra, all these things are just prescribed. Then a stage comes. So in the Grihastha stage, is as I said, is an experimental stage where he is performing actions in the world based on the knowledge gained in the earlier stage. If he does properly this, because Grihastha is a very important stage in one's life, which sustains all other ashramas also. If he does it properly, then he goes into the stage of a sort of a recluse. Vanaprastha is where you are not completely out of the society or out of the house. You may live with even the wife, but the term Vanaprastha indicates that you live in garden or you live in forest type of thing, doing subjective worship still, not too much involved in the worldly activities, though your advice and other things are available for them. A sort of a detachment sets in here. And then the sannyasa stage comes, where now the fruit is very ripe and it should fall from the tree, as it were. He is now has nothing of his own by himself. Even his body, for all practical purpose, is dead in that form which he was enjoying now. That is why sannyasis are given ochre robes. Swami Ramtirtha says, when you see a sannyasi from a distance, you see as though fire is moving. For all practical purpose, that his body is burnt. He has no particular family of his own. Whole universe is his family. He has dedicated himself only for the cause of self-realization, and his life is an exemplary service to the universe. Great are those people who can genuinely go into that stage. Though there are some who get into it and try to practice, renunciation is more of an effect. There are very many examples where, being in householder stage also, people have gone into the spirit of renunciation equal to or much more than a sannyasi also. And there can be a person with ochre robe who could be caught up in a different type of samsara. He might have left family and other thing, but it could be some other thing. So, what really matters here is the mental renunciation. So, but according to the tradition and the ritual, one guru comes in at the time when the sacred thread is there. As far as the sannyasi is concerned, he is gone above karma. Rather, karma leaves him. So, when karma leaves him, all those bondage which reminds him of doing the Shastra karma, that is also over. So, a sannyasi doesn't wear a sacred thread. So, we can also say that also leads him and makes him go into the stage where he is going beyond the three gunas. He is going towards beyond sattva, rajas and tamas, which is there. So, he removes all this. And therefore, he is not supposed to do fire ritual also. That is why the final rites of a sannyasi is also not by cremation. They are either buried, they are either thrown into the forest for animals to consume, or jalasamadhi, all those things they do, but never fire. Very interesting verse says in Bhagavad Gita, immortal verse, Anashruta karma palam karyam karma karoti yaha sa sannyasi sa yogi na niragnihi na chakriyaha. Na niragnihi na chakriyaha. There are various interpretations, but the literal translation is na niragnihi. That means just because you have given up fire, fire is that a brahmacharya stage onwards, you are holding on to that fire as a ritual. You know, it says yavat jivet agnihotram, you have to practice. As long as you live, you have to practice this agnihotram. Therefore, after that ritual, they are not supposed to put off that fire. They carefully keep it. Next day, they light from the same fire. Like that, throughout the lifetime that they do. When does this fire go? This fire goes when you enter the stage of a sannyasa ashrama. So, na niragnihi can be taken that way. So, what Krishna, na chakriyaha means he has gone beyond action. Okay. This person has no action, this person has no fire rituals and everything. But he says, just because you don't have action, just because you have given up this fire thing, you don't become a sannyasi. Na niragnihi na chakriyaha. Then who is a sannyasi? He says, anashruta karma phalam karyam karma karotiyaha. Without an eye on the fruit of action, one who is able to do whatever he is supposed to do. He is a sannyasi. So a sannyasa, therefore we understand, is a state of mind which is of renunciation. So that stage, if anybody can attain, even as he is performing householder's duty, we have to prostrate to that person. So what is important in life is to get into the state of renunciation rather than just by outwardly measures. So coming back to the significance, so today is an auspicious day for the starting of the Vedic studies. And the Vedic studies should slowly lead us to Vedantic wisdom. It says, Yo Vedadav Swaraproktaha Vedantena Pratishtitaha. What is being said in the Adi or the beginning of the Vedas is established by Vedanta. So what is the starting mantra of Vedas? Rig Veda's first mantra is Agni Mile Purohitam. It is starting with Agni. It is starting with fire. Here the deeper meaning is the fire represents the fire of consciousness. It is the consciousness. And what is established in Vedanta? It is the consciousness. So the Vedic study, which starts with worship of Agni, fire worship, it is actually initiating a person into the search of the consciousness within. And by God's grace and Guru's grace, when he travels the entire path, he gets established in the Vedantic wisdom, which is nothing but the pure consciousness. That must be the aim of our study. The study that we go through, because nowadays you see when a person is initiated into school, so what is the aim? Finally, what is the placement or what is the aim of this? Is like, what is this result of this education? The result of the education is just to get a job and make a living out of it. That is a very, very limited perspective of the education. The real purpose of education is to finally get established in what is the purpose of life itself, not just the immediate benefit of the education. So in that sense, we have to view this day to day. Right. Seeing the bosom and navel of a woman, do not fall a prey to frenzied delusion. It is a modification of flesh, fat, etc. Reflect well in your mind over and over again. We'll chant verse 4 twice.
Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam dadvajivitamati shaya chapalam Vidhi vyadhyabhimanagrastam lokam shokahatam cha samastam Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam dadvajivitamati shaya chapalam Vidhi vyadhyabhimanagrastam lokam shokahatam cha samastam
Water on a lotus leaf is extremely unsteady. So also is life very unstable. Understand that the entire world consumed by disease and conceit is smitten with sorrow. Very famous verse, a beautiful poetry, which gives a very beautiful metaphor. It talks about the life's instability. Okay. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam. What that means is that, if you have seen, usually this lotus leaf example most people know. They talk about it in terms of how a person detachedly lives in the world. The lotus leaf is born in the water, it stays in the water and it dies in the water, but it is never touching the water. This is the most famous example. But here, he is same example in a different way. He is putting it on the reverse. Not lotus leaf on water. He is talking about water on lotus leaf also. If you see sometimes in the pond, a lotus leaf is there. Swan or a duck or something is playing nearby. So what happens is, because of their splash, sometimes they spread the wings and do something. The water spills on the leaf. But if you have carefully noticed, like how a mercury will, like that, this drop of water is trembling. It is never ever stable, even though the leaf may be flat, and it quickly gets back to the nearby water source, which is the pond. So, the example can be taken at a little deeper level if you consider the source and the destination also. The water drop is actually a small aspect of the big pond. Very, very small aspect of the big pond. It seems to have a separate existence when it is sitting on that leaf. But it doesn't stay there for long. It comes back to the pond immediately. Now this is as unsteady and as trembling that water drop is. Like that is our life, says Shankaracharya here. The life that we go through is as unsteady and as unstable. Any moment it can go and join back to the source. We really do not know. And we take it for granted. See, what is only certain is that when birth is there, only certain thing is that one day this life should go. But when it is, we really do not know. It is extremely unsteady. We see, yesterday I spoke to him, today is not there. Like that it is. And only when it is happening in our vicinity does it even strike us. Even then, our lives, we take it for granted that it is extremely, always it's going to carry on. In the Yaksha Prashna in Mahabharata, Yudhishthira is asked finally this question by the Yaksha as to what is the most wonderful thing in this world, in the universe. And Yudhishthira has answered all the questions correctly. And last question is this. He says the most wonderful thing is that daily the people see others dying. They may even carry them to the cremation ghat on their shoulders. And yet, we continue our lives as though we are going to live forever. Intellectually, we may understand, we may even write a poetry about death, but heart of the heart, we don't feel that we are going to die. It's a universal feeling. It is Ashcharya. It says it is beyond intellect. The truth is, it is beyond intellect. Because the reason is that you are the ultimate self which is beyond the intellect. It is Ashcharya. This is what is the wonder. Every person makes plans for the next as though he is going to live forever. And what is the permanent thing one must do? He is not having any plans for that. That is always that it can wait. We have various immediate things to attend which are our priorities. But he says it is extremely unsteady. When it is going to go, you do not know the full aspect of your karma in the past. And what you are doing now also, we may not be extremely knowledgeable about how consciously what we are doing. The results of which, the resultant way by which it comes also, we really do not know. So probably a message that we can take is this is not pessimism. He is only stating a fact of life. Therefore, make the best use of what is the opportunity that is being provided to you. Why it is to make the best uses, he says in the next line, Viddhi vyadya abhimana grastam lokam shokahatam cha samastam. It is full of disease and sorrow. Disease afflicts you at the body level. Okay, you can maintain the body in the perfect condition and you allot time to do yoga, maintain good food, pranayama, everything you do. You can elongate it. You can extend it. But sooner or later, it will be overpowered and there has to be a hetu for that body to go away. Disease will catch over. And the mind is smitten by conceit, pride, vanity, ego. Because the body and mind are prone to these, the whole world is full of sorrow, the life is full of sorrow. Again, when we say this, do not take it pessimistically. He is giving a practical, realistic view of life. You take any stage of your life, there is a pain associated with it. Birth is a pain, growth is a pain, disease, decay, death, everything is a pain. Growth is also pain. Growth seems to be like a happy thing, but the attachment of the past to pull out of it it's a pain. So each and every aspect of life, of the world is a pain. Dukkhalaya, it says. Gautama Buddha, Lord, he puts it very nicely. Why it is pain? He says, I heard it in a lecture, I think some Sarvapriyananda, some lecture. Anityam, anityam, sarvam anityam. Everything is anityam means impermanent. Sarvam means sarvam. You think of anything. You think of relationship, you think of your materials, you think of money, whatever you can think, it is actually anityam. Anityam means it is impermanent. And not just impermanent, it is transitory just like this. So he says, Kshanikam, Kshanikam, Sarvam Kshanikam. Kshanikam means one Kshana is there, that's all. You take it little more philosophically, each and everything is born and dead, moment to moment, like that it is. So Anityam means, okay, till my lifetime if it is there, it's enough. No. In your lifetime also, it's very, very momentary. It is very, very momentary. Kshanam to kshanam. That's kshanikam. And then he says, not just it is momentary, it is void. Shunyam, sarvam shunyam. If you go into the depth of it, it is actually shunyam. See, the previous verse talked about the pleasure that a boy derives out of a girl. You break it up and go, actually it is void. It is not there. So therefore it is shunyam. Each and everything is shunyam. And therefore he says, dukkam, sarvam dukkam. Why it is painful? It is because of this reason. That which is not permanent, that which is momentary and transitory, that which is void, there you place a permanent value, it will be dukkam, always dukkam. So you look at the world from that angle. It is dukkam. Vidhi vyadhyabhimanagrastam lokam shokahatam cha samastam. This is the nature of the entire world, any aspect of the world. So therefore, the lesson here is, make best use of the transitory nature of your life in this world. Do whatever steps you can to gain that permanency. Take that as the message here. Otherwise, only to say that it's only dukkam and if it has no sort of a solution to it, it is a very, very pessimistic thing. See, that is the greatness of our scriptures. They paint a very realistic picture, however you may like it or don't like it. But at the end of it all, they say that you can reach what you want, which is the permanent happiness, and there is a way to it. They give scientific steps towards achieving it also. Therefore, ours is one of the most optimistic philosophy. It makes you look forward to life in this way. So you look at the world in this way, you are not going to relate it in the same way. But for which he is giving a present picture that the life of the individual is very unsteady. It may be there one time, may not be there the other time. A French philosopher says, Swamiji gives the quote, I forgot the quote. Again, it has to be understood in this context properly. When you go and meet a friend who is admitted in the hospital, he says, congratulate yourself that you are not there. It's as though, he is suffering and I am not suffering, thank God. Not like that. What it means is, it could be that you are in his position and he is coming to visit you. He is only talking about how the life can change in 1 second the ulta way also. So be happy that you are alright now. That sort of a very philosophical message. The message in that quote is that it is very, very unpredictable. That is what he says here. Therefore, the world which is smitten with sorrow, where the body is going to be consumed by disease and the mind is consumed by conceit and arrogance, you need to make the best use of the life. That's the message. Water on a lotus leaf is extremely unsteady. So also is life very unstable. Understand that the entire world consumed by disease and conceit is smitten with sorrow. We'll chant verse 5 twice.
Yavadvittopajana sattah tavan nija parivaro raktaha paschajivati jarjara dehe martam kopi na pricchati gehe. Yavadvittopajana sattah tavan nija parivaro raktaha paschajivati jarjara dehe martam kopi na pricchati gehe.
As long as there is capability to earn wealth, so long would there be a retinue. Later, when he lives with infirm body, none would heed him at home. It's a very direct verse. It's very impossible to conceive the same Shankaracharya who gives the highest Advaitic thought and the greatest non-dual philosophy, which talks nothing less than Brahman, he's talking about a very, very basic, fundamental, practical truth of life. That's about all in the Bhaja Govindam. That's why some people say this is, the introductory texts are written by somebody else and attributed to Shankaracharya, like that. They say. That is a different argument altogether. I mean, we need not get into it. As I said, if anybody else has also written in the Shankara lineage and they attributed to Shankaracharya, it is his inspiration of Shankaracharya only. So that is why they don't consider anything to be them to be the author. But what he has given is a very, very useful and a practical lesson. When we talk about Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita and how they are useful to practice detachment and renunciation, it tones down to this level for us to apply it actually. We talked about Pratipaksha Bhavana in third verse. Pratipaksha Bhavana is to view something from a different angle, from an opposite side. An intellectual re-evaluation from the other side. That is Pratipaksha Bhavana, so that you get a full and clear picture of it. Not that you view it very close to you and you see only one aspect of it and fall for it. There he gave the Pratipaksha Bhavana as to how to view a sensual enjoyment. Etan mansavasadi vikaram. It is all modification of flesh and fat. Man, what are you really falling for into a frenzied delusion? Like that he gave a thing to reflect upon. Manasi vichintaya varam varam. Like that, now probably we can take this verse as a Pratipaksha Bhavana for what wealth is. Wealth is that everybody chases in this world. Wealth is that which is the motive of most people in the world. But what really is wealth worthy of? He gives a very practical real life experience for us to gauge it. See, the thing is, each and everything, when we try to understand it from experience, at the time it hits us, it may be very late, maybe. See, that's why probably I think the commentary of this verse or the next verse in the book also, Swamiji says, this knowledge is applicable for all. Each and every person has to take it up and apply it in the practical life. But it is of utmost necessity or importance to those who are reaching the pinnacle of their fame and glory at a very young age. Like actors, like sports persons, we saw that Asiad is going on. A 15-year-old or 16-year-old kid can be a gold medalist and he can be on the top of the world. In Olympics, top of the world, in Asia, top of Asia, whatever it is. He is in a very high position. People look up to him. People will call him for speech. He will give interviews. Even if he doesn't want, he is put in a pedestal. Now, when the pedestal is there and he is enjoying his glorious times there, sooner or later, fall may come. Because in certain sports, the lifespan is not even few years. You have to make the best in that time. Marathon runners, you don't see same winner repeating himself in the next Olympics, except I think once it happened, it doesn't happen. Even 100 meters champion, if a person comes, Usain Bolt is an exception, 3 times he did, but otherwise it's a very difficult thing. So the peak of the career lasts for few years. Even though we see cricketers 15 years and all, they are playing, 10 years is a peak of their career. And they are gods when they are in that period. But when the time comes to say goodbye, if they are not prepared, all over the television advertisements, in every billboard and in every promotion, they were all there being flashed, and suddenly they may just not be there, neglected. Swamiji talks about, I think, Modi, some cricketer in Rosie Modi. Rosie Modi is a cricketer. Yes. Opener, right. He was in Bombay Gymkhana Club as a old person having his own drink or whatever he is doing. Alone in a table in the corner of the club. During his heydays, he would have been swarmed by autograph seekers and various. Swamiji said that was a philosophical lesson for me. It is just that nobody will heed to you. Here he says, Vartam kopina prichati gehe. Even at your own home, even in your own home, there are people, politicians, there will be always people around them. In our house, when we were in Chennai, next to next house was a MLA at that point of time. I mean, he was a very smart MLA. Wherever the parties captured power, he switched to the other party. He continued to the MLA. He continued being a MLA. I can give out the name also, but I don't want. Recording is going on here. Right. I can. This person, as he was even, like gets up and brushes the teeth, there were people around him waiting for him because so many things needs to be done, recommendations, this, that. Like that it is. But if a person, let's say, loses his power, that is why the politicians at any cost, be it at the cost of society, nation, they don't care because they have tasted power and they know what it is to be in power. And that contrast of not having power, even the party office, nobody will come, you don't have protection, you don't have jeeps around you, that contrast is too much for them to take. Even relatively, these are all politicians wielding supreme powers, it could be a bank chairman. He was in a position to grant loans, limited powers, but still he was wielding very many powers. When that bank chairman used to go for a morning walk, there will be people going behind him because they don't know whether they will get appointment or not. Here itself, if he smiles, they can have a word with him. Like that it is. When that person retires, that's all. Next day, if his loyal dog, if he's there, that will only follow him. Because the dog has been following him irrespective of his position or something. Only that will follow. Nobody else will follow. This is what money will do. This is what power will do. So you view money from this angle. Swamiji says he has known of multi-millionaires who had the entire control and they were. And once he had retired and gave the charge to his sons, and by the way in which he even wrote the will, etc. on their name, the treatment that he got in the home is something different. From his own daughter-in-law and son, like that it is. He is talking a very, very practical thing. He is not saying families are bad or anything like that. This is what the money can do to a person. Excess. When it gets into your head, excess of this thing can do to a person. So view money from this side, this angle. This is what it will do. So you will then make the right choices and values in life. As long as you are there, your body is firm and it is earning wealth, there will be retinue. So therefore, the followers, they are not actually following you. They are following what you possess. I think Oliver Goldsmith, Swamiji gives this quote about love. Before love, he talks about friendship. What is friendship? He makes a mockery of what is being talked about as friendship and love. It is all not there. All this in name, he says. It's not there in the real sense of the term. True love is not there. True friendship is not there. What is friendship but a name that charms and lulls to sleep? A shade that follows wealth and fame and leaves the wretched to weep. Exactly the same thing. What is friendship but a name? He's my best friend. This buddy, that buddy, all these things we say and we make a big issue out of, friends. And that charms you and that lulls you to sleep. Lulls you to sleep means you are very confident. I have people. They will come to my rescue. They are there all the time. And you are in a self-hypnotic state thinking that they are all there. But he says, a shade that follows wealth and fame. They are a shadow who is not following you. They are following your wealth and your fame. And leaves the wretched to weep. Leaves the wretched to weep means when you are in a position where you actually require them, they leave you alone to fend for yourself, weeping, and they just go away. That is friendship. That means what he is trying to say is, what we call as friends, thick friends and all those friends are not in reality there today. And Oliver Goldsmith maybe writes this poem few centuries back. Nowadays, friends are those we find who like our post in a Facebook, they are our friends. And if that is not there, like that it is just what is known as a virtual friends. Like that we have. And when we talk about the friendship of Krishna and Sudama, all this is great stories only for us. We can't even believe how their friendship was there and how they cherished the friendship till the end. Arjuna and Krishna were great friends. That is friendship, But all this is very superficial friendship, he says. A shade that follows wealth and fame and leaves the wretched to weep. So therefore, as long as there is capability to earn wealth, so long would there be a retinue. Later, when he lives with an infirm body, that means when he is not useful for them, none would even heed him at home. Therefore, one should be prepared for this. Preparation, it's not expectation. It's not to expect that your wife will desert you or children will be disrespectful to you. Not to expect that. Irrespective of all these things, you develop what is known as this self-sufficiency. You look at it from the point of view of that person. Narayana Bhattatri, when he was paralyzed, he was dropped in front of Lord Guru Ayurappa. He asked for only one thing. You take away my disease and give me a walking stick so that I am not dependent on anybody for my bodily transactions. That sort of a very basic self-sufficiency he sought for. That's all it is. If you are happily living with your family, well and good, all that's fine. But you cannot make your life dependent on them. So you be self-sufficient. So therefore the preparation for that comes as you travel the path. It's not that after retirement, that's why many people say, I'll read Bhagavad Gita after retirement. Actually, it prepares you for life and afterlife. So when the action is all over, then you will learn how to do action and get yourself prepared. That doesn't make sense. So it is just a preparation. So when the time comes, you are very, happy to take it in the way that it comes. We'll end with this story which Swamiji repeats in the public lecture also. There is a kingdom where a system is there that by lottery or by whatever means, a king is chosen and he has to rule for 5 years. And he is given the entire facilities and amenities and luxury of the kingdom, and everything is under his control. He can enjoy it thoroughly. But very cruelly, at the end of the 5th year, he is transported across the river and led to the other side and left there, which is a dense forest. Meaning there is wild animals and there is no way to survive there. But 5 years he is the king. This is how it is. And so each and every person, when he is crowned the king, he is extremely happy and is rejoicing. As the months pass by and as the years pass by, slowly a fever grips. And last year is like a living death. Last month is practically in the grave. He is mercilessly transported to the other side, and then the next king is appointed. This is their system. Now a young fellow is appointed by that lottery system. What they see is, he starts very normally, but as weeks, days and months pass by, he is becoming more enthusiastic, he is becoming more happy. And last year he has kept monthly many celebrations. Last month is full of celebrations. And at the end of it all, he throws a large party to the entire kingdom. Nobody is able to understand how it is being done, because they have seen only the opposite. And now the boatman who is going to take him to the other side, he is an old person, and he has seen many kings go to that side. He is very sorry for this young person. But this person is waiting and waving to everybody. His happiness is even more now. So as they are traveling in the middle of the river, this boatman is asking, I can't understand this. How is it that you are doing like this? You know you are going to be left alone in the opposite side. He only asks one thing. You operate this boat, how much do you get? I get whatever, 100 rupees or something. Now he says, you operate from the other side, I'll give you 200 rupees. What he has done in this 5 years? He has transformed the other side of the river slowly and built a small kingdom for himself. So right from day one, he has been planning for that only. So he knows that this 5 years is temporary. He is aware of that transitory thing. So in this transitory life, he has prepared for something which is permanent on the other side. That's all it is. As we are going through this corporate life, whatever be the time, a social life, this life, marital life, all this life we go through. When we are going through this life, Just make the right preparation for what is on the other side, which is the permanent thing. As you do that, your journey becomes more and more happy as you go along. We'll continue. Namo Parameshwara.
Poornam Adah Poornamidam Poornat Poornamudachyate Poornasya Poornamadaya Poornamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.